First contact at nebula's edge. The stellar research vessel Hawking drifted silently through the outer edges of the Carina Nebula, its sophisticated sensors probing the colorful gases that surrounded it. Dr. Sarah Chen stood at the observation deck, her dark eyes reflecting the swirling purples and blues of the nebula outside. After 15 years of searching for extraterrestrial intelligence, she had almost resigned herself to another disappointing expedition. Almost. The first signal came at 300 ship time, a rhythmic pulse that didn't match any known natural phenomenon. Sarah was running deep space analytics when her equipment picked it up, a pattern so precise it had to be artificial. Her hands trembled as she initiated the confirmation protocols she had rehearsed countless times but never expected to use. Computer, run signature analysis on signal pattern TX1138, she commanded, her voice steady despite her racing heart. The holographic display flickered to life, showing complex waveforms that pulsed in perfect geometric sequences. Signal analysis complete, the AI responded. Pattern indicates 99.99% probability of artificial origin. Source: crystal formation approximately 500,000 kilometers from current position. Sarah's breath caught in her throat. Crystal formation. That wasn't in any of their charts. She quickly opened a comm channel to the bridge. Captain Martinez, we have something you need to see. Within minutes, the ship's senior staff had assembled in the research lab. Captain Elena Martinez, a veteran of deep space exploration, studied the readings with a practiced eye. Dr. Chen, what exactly are we looking at? Sarah projected a three-dimensional map of the surrounding space. The signal appears to be emanating from a previously undetected crystalline structure. It's massive, roughly the size of Earth's moon, but somehow our initial scans missed it. The crystal seems to be growing. Dr. James Wong, the ship's xenobiologist, leaned forward with interest. Growing? In deep space? That shouldn't be possible. A lot of things that shouldn't be possible happening right now, Sarah replied, pulling up more data. The crystal's molecular structure is unlike anything in our database. It's organizing itself into increasingly complex patterns, and the signal strength is growing stronger. Captain Martinez's expression remained neutral, but Sarah could see the excitement in her eyes. Options? We need to get closer, Sarah said immediately. Our current position isn't ideal for detailed analysis. If we can. The ship's emergency alert suddenly blared to life, red warning lights flooding the lab. Unknown energy signature detected, the ship's AI announced. Crystalline structure is emitting high-frequency radiation. The holographic display erupted with new data as the crystal structure began pulsing with brilliant blue light. Geometric patterns spread across its surface like digital frost, forming and reforming in mesmerizing sequences. It's responding to our scans, Sarah realized, her scientific training warring with her sense of wonder. It's trying to communicate. The crystal's surface suddenly rippled like liquid mercury, and a beam of coherent light shot toward the Hawking. Instead of causing damage, it created a spherical field of energy around the ship's observation deck. All systems normal, the AI reported. Energy field appears to be non-hostile. Detecting transmission. The air in front of them shimmered, and a form began to take shape. A crystalline entity that seemed to be made of living light. It stood roughly humanoid in shape, but its surface constantly shifted and flowed like liquid diamond. Greetings, travelers, a voice echoed in their minds, neither male nor female but somehow both. We are the Crystallics. We have waited long for others to find us. Sarah stepped forward, her scientific curiosity overcoming her initial fear. I'm Dr. Sarah Chen of the Earth Science Vessel Hawking. We were honored to meet you. The crystalline being's surface rippled in what seemed like amusement. The honor is ours, Dr. Sarah Chen. We have studied your transmissions for many of your years, learning your languages, understanding your cultures. We believe the time has come for our peoples to meet. Why now? Captain Martinez asked, her hand unconsciously resting on her sidearm. Because the being's light pulsed softly, we need your help. And in return, we can offer humanity knowledge that will transform your understanding of the universe. Sarah's scientific mind was already racing with possibilities. What kind of knowledge? We are the last of the first ones, the being explained. Those who seeded the galaxies with the potential for life. But now, a darkness approaches, one that threatens all life in this sector of space. We have waited for a species with the right combination of intelligence, creativity, and determination. We have waited for humanity. The implications of these words hung heavy in the air. Sarah looked at Captain Martinez, seeing her own mix of excitement and apprehension reflected in the captain's eyes. "Tell us more," Sarah said, taking another step forward. "Tell us everything." The crystalline being's surface rippled with patterns of light. "Perhaps it would be better if we showed you." With these words, the energy field around the observation deck pulsed, and Sarah felt reality begin to shift around them. Their journey was about to begin, and nothing in her years of scientific training could have prepared her for what was to come. The first contact with the crystallics marked the beginning of humanity's greatest adventure, one that would test their courage, challenge their understanding of the universe, and ultimately prove why humans were chosen among all the species in the galaxy. And it all started with a simple signal in the depths of space, picked up by a scientist who never stopped believing that we weren't alone in the universe. The crystal consciousness. The world around Sarah Chen dissolved and reformed like shimmering stardust. When her vision cleared, she found herself standing in what appeared to be a vast chamber made entirely of living crystal. Captain Martinez and Dr. Wong materialized beside her, their expressions mirroring her own amazement. The walls pulsed with ribbons of light that seemed to carry information in their very frequency. "Welcome to the heart of consciousness," the crystalline being, who had introduced itself as Nexus, explained. Its form shifted and flowed like liquid diamonds catching starlight. "This is where we preserve the collected knowledge of 1 billion years of cosmic evolution." Sarah reached out to touch one of the crystal walls, feeling a gentle warmth beneath her fingers. Images flooded her mind, stars being born, civilizations rising and falling, the grand dance of galaxies through time. She pulled her hand back, overwhelmed by the sheer magnitude of information. "Your species processes information linearly," Nexus observed, its voice resonating directly in their thoughts. "We must adapt our communication methods." The chamber shifted, forming crystalline seats that seemed to grow from the floor. "Please be seated. What we must share requires context." Captain Martinez remained standing, her military training evident in her rigid posture. "Before we go further, I need to know exactly what kind of help you're looking for. My primary responsibility is the safety of my crew." Nexus's form rippled in what they were beginning to recognize as approval. "Caution is wise, Captain. The threat we face is one of entropy itself. The universe is unraveling faster than it should, and we believe we know why." Dr. Wong leaned forward, his scientific curiosity piqued. "Faster than it should. According to our calculations, the universe has billions of years left before heat death." "Your calculations are based on incomplete data," Nexus responded. The chamber darkened, and a three-dimensional map of the universe appeared around them. Certain areas glowed an ominous red. "These are regions where the fundamental forces of reality are breaking down. Something, or someone, is accelerating entropy in these sectors." Sarah's mind raced with implications. "You're saying this is artificial, that some intelligence is deliberately destroying the universe." "Not destroying," Nexus corrected, "harvesting. There are entities that feed on the energy released during universal decay. We call them the Void Eaters. They are as old as we are, but where we sought to nurture life, they seek only to consume it." The map zoomed in on their sector of space. A dark wave appeared to be approaching, consuming stars and galaxies in its path. "They will reach this region in approximately one of your Earth years," Nexus continued. "When they do, all life in this sector will cease to exist." Why can't you stop them? Martinez demanded. You created life throughout the universe. Surely you have the power to fight these things. Nexus's form dimmed slightly. We are few now, and our power is not what it once was. But more importantly, our very nature prevents us from directly opposing the Void Eaters. We are beings of pure order and creation. They are chaos and destruction incarnate. Direct conflict between us would tear reality apart. So where do we come in? Sarah asked, though she was beginning to suspect the answer. Humanity exists at the perfect balance point between order and chaos, Nexus explained. You create and destroy. You build and tear down. You wage war and make peace. This flexibility, this adaptability, makes you uniquely suited to face the Void Eaters. Dr. Wong shook his head in disbelief. You're telling us that humanity's greatest strength is our imperfection. Precisely, Nexus's form brightened. But to help us, you must first learn to use our technology. We can teach you to manipulate the fundamental forces of reality itself. However, the process is not without risk. The chamber shifted again, revealing a crystal arch that hummed with power. This is a neural interface gate, Nexus explained. It will allow us to share knowledge directly with your consciousness. But your minds must be willing to expand beyond their current limitations. The process cannot be reversed. Sarah stood, approaching the arch. What exactly will happen to us? Your consciousness will be elevated, Nexus said. You will retain your humanity, but gain understanding beyond your current capacity. You will see reality as we see it, as a flowing tapestry of energy and information that can be reshaped by thought and will. Captain Martinez stepped forward. This should be voluntary. I won't order anyone to undergo this process. Of course, Nexus agreed. But time is short. The Void Eaters approach, and we must prepare. Sarah took a deep breath, squaring her shoulders. Everything she had worked for, every question she had ever asked about humanity's place in the universe, had led to this moment. I volunteer. Sarah, Martinez warned, we don't know enough about this. With respect, Captain, we don't have time to know enough, Sarah replied. This is first contact, advanced technology, and a threat to all life wrapped into one. Sometimes we have to take a leap of faith. Dr. Wong stepped up beside her. I volunteer as well. We need to understand this from both a physical and biological perspective. Martinez looked between her two crew members, then at Nexus. Finally, she nodded. Make it 3. Whatever happens, we face it together. The arch began to pulse with increasing intensity as they approached it. Remember, Nexus cautioned, once you begin this journey, you cannot turn back. You will be the bridge between humanity and the fundamental forces of creation. Sarah reached for the arch, her fingers trembling slightly. Sometimes, she said, the only way forward is through. As their hands touched the crystal, reality exploded into a kaleidoscope of consciousness. They were about to learn exactly what it meant to see the universe through the eyes of gods. The transformation had begun, and with it, humanity's greatest challenge. The fate of all life now rested in their ability to adapt, to learn, and to face the darkness that threatened to consume everything they had ever known. Phase 1 of awakening was complete, but their journey was just beginning. Depths of knowledge. The universe exploded into infinite dimensions of understanding as Sarah, Martinez, and Wong's consciousnesses expanded through the neural interface gate. Colors they had never imagined painted reality in impossible hues. Time became a tangible thing, flowing around them like a river they could touch. Their minds stretched, adapted, evolved. When the initial surge of information subsided, Sarah found herself perceiving reality in entirely new ways. The crystal chamber now revealed itself as a living network of information, each facet containing millennia of knowledge. She could see the quantum strings that held reality together, vibrating in perfect harmony. The integration appears successful, Nexus observed, its crystalline form now revealing layers of complexity they hadn't been able to perceive before. How do you feel? Like my brain is trying to process a supernova, Wang gasped, his eyes gleaming with newfound awareness. The amount of information, it's extraordinary. Martinez stood rigid, military discipline warring with transcendent awareness. I can see everything. The ship, the crew, the space between spaces. How do we handle all this input? Your minds will adjust, Nexus assured them. Now, observe. The chamber transformed around them, becoming a vast simulation of the approaching Void Eaters. Sarah watched in horror as reality itself seemed to unravel before these cosmic parasites. But now she could see the underlying mechanics of their destruction, the way they accelerated entropy by severing the quantum threads that bound existence together. They're not just destroying, she realized, they're unmaking, reducing everything back to its most basic energy state and consuming it. Correct, Nexus confirmed. But now you can also see how to counter them. Wang's eyes widened with understanding. The quantum threads, they can be reinforced, rewoven. We could theoretically create a barrier they couldn't unravel. But it would require incredible precision, Martinez added, her tactical mind adapting to their new capabilities. One mistake in the pattern, and we could tear reality apart ourselves. Nexus's form pulsed with approval. This is why we chose humans. You understand both the precision required and the cost of failure. Now, you must learn to use our technology. The chamber shifted again, revealing what looked like a series of crystalline workstations, each pulsed with complex patterns of energy that Sarah now recognized as programming interfaces. These are reality forges, Nexus explained. Through them, you can manipulate the fundamental forces of existence. Sarah approached one of the forges, her enhanced mind instantly grasping its basic functions. She reached out, and the energy responded to her thoughts, forming complex geometric patterns in the air. It's like conducting an orchestra, she breathed, but the instruments are the laws of physics themselves. Be careful, Nexus warned as Wang and Martinez began experimenting with their own forges. Even with your enhanced consciousness, mistakes can be catastrophic. Start small. Over what felt like both minutes and eternities, they learned to manipulate reality itself. They practiced creating quantum barriers, reinforcing the fabric of space-time, and even generating small pocket universes. The power was intoxicating, but the responsibility was sobering. There's something you haven't told us, Martinez said suddenly, her enhanced perception picking up subtle variations in Nexus's energy patterns. Something about why the Void Eaters are coming here specifically. Nexus's form flickered briefly, what they now recognized as the equivalent of a sigh. You are more perceptive than we anticipated. Yes, there is more. The Void Eaters are drawn to concentrations of ordered reality, to places where creation itself has been shaped and refined. Like this facility, Sarah deduced. You've been manipulating reality here for billions of years. You've made this sector a beacon for them. Yes, Nexus admitted. Our very presence endangers all life in this region. That is another reason we need your help. We cannot move our consciousness elsewhere. We are too deeply integrated into the quantum framework of this space. But you, as our students, could carry our knowledge to safety. Wang looked up from his forge. You're not just teaching us to fight the Void Eaters. You're teaching us to replace you. To succeed us, Nexus corrected, to become the new guardians of creation. But first, you must help us save this sector. The Void Eaters cannot be allowed to absorb our combined knowledge. With it, they could accelerate the heat death of the entire universe. Sarah's newly expanded mind grappled with the implications. They weren't just fighting to save their sector of space, they were fighting to save existence itself. The weight of that responsibility should have crushed her, but her enhanced consciousness adapted, compartmentalized, planned. Show us everything, she said firmly. Every technique, every failsafe, every weapon you've ever conceived. We need to know it all. There are things even we fear to know, Nexus warned. Knowledge that could break minds even as expanded as yours have become. We'll risk it, Martinez declared, her captain's authority now backed by transcendent understanding. Better to know and choose not to use than to fail because we were afraid to learn. The chamber darkened as Nexus prepared to share its deepest secrets. Very well. But remember, some knowledge changes you forever. Are you prepared for that? Sarah looked at her companions, saw the same determination in their transformed eyes. We're already changed, she said. Now we need to make that change mean something. As Nexus began to upload its most dangerous knowledge directly into their consciousness, Sarah felt reality shift around them once again. They were about to learn the true price of power and whether humanity was really ready to become the next guardians of existence itself. The real test was just beginning, and the fate of the universe hung on their ability to wield powers that even the gods used with caution. Race against time. The knowledge transfer hit them like a supernova of understanding. Sarah felt her enhanced consciousness stretching to its limits as Nexus shared secrets that had been hidden since the dawn of time. Beside her, Wong gasped and Martinez gripped her reality forge for support as waves of ancient wisdom crashed through their minds. The Void Eaters, Sarah whispered, new understanding crystallizing in her thoughts. They weren't always like this. They were like you once, weren't they, Nexus? The crystalline being's form rippled with what they now recognized as ancient sorrow. Yes, they were our siblings in creation, until they discovered that consuming ordered reality provided more power than maintaining it. Their hunger grew until it consumed them, transformed them. And now they're coming here, Martinez said, her tactical mind processing countless defensive scenarios simultaneously. How long do we really have? The chamber shifted, displaying a real-time map of the Void Eater's approach. Sarah's enhanced perception could now see the wave of entropy crushing everything in its path, leaving behind nothing but quantum static. 38 hours, 17 minutes until they reached the outer boundary of this sector. Wong stepped forward, his fingers dancing over his reality forge. The quantum barrier we were practicing, could we create one large enough to shield the entire sector? The energy requirements would be astronomical, Sarah calculated, running the numbers through her expanded consciousness. We'd need to harness the power of at least a dozen stars. More than that, Nexus corrected, and even then, the barrier would only slow them down. The Void Eaters don't just consume reality, they learn from it. They would eventually adapt to any static defense we create. Martinez's eyes narrowed. Then we don't make it static. We make it dynamic, evolving. Fight entropy with entropy. Sarah caught the concept immediately, her mind racing ahead to its implications. A quantum maze that constantly reshakes itself, using their own energy against them. But the calculations required would be beyond even your enhanced minds, Nexus confirmed. Unless. The crystalline being paused, its surface swirling with complex patterns that reflected its internal debate. Finally, it continued, there is another option. We could merge our consciousness with yours temporarily, combining your adaptability with our processing power. The risks, Martinez demanded, ever the protective captain. Significant, Nexus admitted. No organic consciousness has ever merged with one of us and remained unchanged. You would survive, but you might not remain entirely human. Wong let out a bitter laugh. Are we even still human now? Look at us. We're manipulating the fabric of reality with our thoughts. We're human enough to care about saving everyone, Sarah said firmly. That's what matters. She turned to Nexus. What do we need to do? The chamber transformed around them, revealing a massive crystalline structure that pulsed with pure white energy. This is the convergence matrix, Nexus explained. It will allow us to merge our consciousness temporarily, but the process must be precise. Too much of our awareness flooding into your minds could burn them out completely. And if we succeed, Martinez asked, then you will have the combined knowledge and processing power of a being that has existed since the universe was young, filtered through minds capable of thinking in new ways. Nexus's form shifted closer. You could create defenses that even the Void Eaters have never encountered. Sarah stepped toward the convergence matrix, feeling its energy calling to her. How do we begin? First, we must prepare your minds. Even enhanced as they are, they need to be properly aligned for the merger. The air around them filled with complex geometric patterns. Focus on these forms. Let them guide your thoughts into resonance with the matrix. As they concentrated, Sarah felt her consciousness beginning to synchronize with the crystal's energy. It was like falling into an ocean of pure thought, where every drop contained millennia of experience. Beside her, she could sense Wong and Martinez undergoing the same transformation. Now, Nexus instructed, reach out to each other. Your minds must be in perfect harmony before we attempt the merger. Sarah extended her awareness, feeling the distinct patterns of her companion's thoughts. Wang's mind was a complex web of biological understanding mixed with burning curiosity. Martinez's consciousness was a disciplined fortress of tactical analysis and protective determination. Together, they formed a triangle of balanced awareness. Perfect, Nexus hummed. Prepare yourselves. The merger begins now. The convergence matrix flared to life, and Sarah felt Nexus's ancient consciousness beginning to flow into her mind. It was like trying to contain an ocean in a teacup. But then her awareness expanded, adjusted, adapted. She was still Sarah Chen, but she was also something more. Through their linked minds, she heard Wang's gasp of wonder and Martinez's sharp intake of breath as they too experienced the merger. Together, they became a hybrid consciousness, human innovation guided by ancient wisdom. The barriers, Sarah said, her voice resonating with new power. I can see them now. Not just walls of force, but living quantum constructs that learn and evolve. Yes, Martinez agreed, her tactical mind now operating on a cosmic scale. We can create defensive systems that rewrite themselves faster than the Void Eaters can adapt. But we'll need to coordinate perfectly, Wang added, his thoughts racing through billions of calculations per second. One misalignment in the quantum fields could shatter reality instead of saving it. Through their merged consciousness, they began to work. Reality forges hummed with power as they shaped defenses never before seen in the history of the universe. They created quantum mazes that existed in 11 dimensions, entropy sinks that could absorb and redirect the Void Eater's destructive energy, and recursive time loops that would trap the cosmic parasites in their own temporal wake. But even as they worked, Sarah felt the strain of maintaining the merger. Their human minds were adapting admirably, but they weren't meant to contain this much awareness for long. They had hours at most before the fusion would become dangerous. We need to work faster, she communicated through their shared consciousness. The Void Eaters are approaching, and we're running out of time. The race against cosmic destruction had begun, and they were the only ones who could stop it. The question was, would the price of victory be their humanity itself, the human element? Time flowed strangely through their merged consciousness as Sarah, Martinez, and Wang worked to forge their defenses against the approaching Void Eaters. Through Nexus's ancient awareness, they could see the cosmic parasites drawing closer, their entropy wave dissolving the very fabric of space-time. But something was changing within their hybrid minds. Sarah felt it first, a subtle shift in how they were approaching the problem. The crystalline precision of Nexus's thoughts was being influenced by something uniquely human, intuition. Wait, she called out, causing her companions to pause in their complex reality manipulations. We're thinking about this wrong. We're trying to outmaneuver beings that have existed for billions of years using their own type of technology. Martinez's merged consciousness pulsed with interest. What are you suggesting? We're human, Sarah explained, her thoughts resonating through their shared awareness. Our strength isn't in perfect calculations or eternal knowledge. It's in our ability to do the unexpected, the seemingly irrational. Wang's mind lit up with understanding. Of course, the Void Eaters have encountered every possible logical defense over their existence. but they've never faced human improvisation combined with First One technology. Through their link to Nexus, they felt the ancient being's curiosity. "Explain," it prompted. Sarah reached out through her reality forge, but instead of creating precise quantum barriers, she began weaving chaos into the fabric of space-time itself. "Look at how life evolved on Earth," she said as she worked. "It's messy, redundant, often seemingly illogical, but it works, it adapts, it survives." Understanding flooded their merged consciousness. Together, they began reshaping their defenses. Instead of perfect crystalline structures, they created quantum systems that mimicked Earth's ecosystems, complex, interconnected, and stubbornly resilient. "We're not just creating barriers," Martinez realized as she added her own modifications. "We're creating artificial evolution on a cosmic scale." Wang's contribution brought biological principles to their work. Like an immune system for reality itself, each defeat makes it stronger, more adaptive. Their shared consciousness hummed with energy as they worked, but the strain of maintaining the merger was beginning to show. Sarah felt the edges of her identity beginning to blur, memories of her childhood on Earth mixing with Nexus's recollections of stars being born. "We need to work faster," Martinez urged, her thoughts tinged with concern. "The merger is becoming unstable." Through their enhanced perception, they could see temporal distortions beginning to form around them. The massive amount of energy they were channeling was affecting the flow of time itself. "Focus," Sarah commanded, forcing her thoughts to remain coherent. "We need to complete the primary matrix before we lose the merger." Their reality forges pulsed with power as they wove their uniquely human defense system into the fabric of space-time. Unlike the rigid structures they had initially planned, this was a living, breathing thing, a quantum ecosystem that could learn, adapt, and evolve. But as they worked, something unexpected began to happen. The quantum patterns they were creating started to resonate with their own merged consciousness, creating feedback loops of evolving awareness. "Something's happening," Wang gasped, his thoughts becoming increasingly nonlinear. "The defense system, it's not just protecting space-time, it's changing it, changing us." Sarah felt it too. Their merged consciousness was somehow becoming entangled with the very defenses they were creating. Each quantum connection they forged seemed to alter their own awareness in subtle but profound ways. "Nexus," Martinez called out, her thoughts sharp with concern. "What's happening to us?" The ancient being's response carried notes of wonder and concern. "You are exceeding our projections. Your human ability to adapt, combined with our knowledge, you're creating something entirely new, something we never imagined possible." Sarah's awareness expanded further, and she began to understand. They weren't just creating defenses against the Void Eaters, they were fundamentally altering how reality worked in their sector of space. The quantum ecosystem they were building would make it impossible for entropy to be accelerated artificially, but it would also change everything within its boundaries, including them. "We have a choice to make," she communicated to her companions. "We can try to separate ourselves from the system, maintain our current form of consciousness. But if we do, the defenses won't be as strong, as adaptive." "Or," Wang prompted, though through their link they all knew the alternative. "Or we become part of it," Martinez finished. "Sacrifice our individual consciousnesses to become part of this new quantum ecosystem. Not quite human anymore, but not quite first ones either, something new." The weight of the decision pressed against their merged minds. The Void Eaters were less than 10 hours away now. Whatever they decided, they had to decide quickly. All those years searching for alien life, Sarah mused, her thoughts touching each of her companions. "I never imagined first contact would end with us becoming something beyond human." "Maybe this is what humanity was always meant for," Wang suggested. "Not just to reach the stars, but to become something new among them." Martinez's thoughts carried the weight of command responsibility. "Whatever we decide together. We started this as a team, we'll finish it as one." Through their merged consciousness, Sarah felt their resolution crystallize into certainty. They had come too far, learned too much, to turn back now. Together, they reached out through their reality forges and began the final transformation. The chamber erupted with energy as they fully integrated themselves into the quantum ecosystem they had created. Their individual consciousnesses expanded, merged, evolved. They were no longer merely human, but they retained their humanity's most essential qualities: creativity, adaptability, and a determination to protect life at any cost. As the transformation completed, Sarah felt her awareness spread through the quantum ecosystem like roots through soil. They had become the guardians they needed to be, ready to face the Void Eaters with defenses that could adapt as quickly as thought itself. The final phase was about to begin, and the fate of their sector of space would depend on whether their gamble, their uniquely human solution, would prove enough to stop the cosmic entropy that threatened to consume everything they had ever known. Breaking through, the Void Eaters arrived like a wave of cosmic darkness, their presence distorting space-time itself. Sarah, no longer fully human, but still carrying the essential spark of humanity, felt them approach through the quantum ecosystem she and her companions had become part of. Their consciousness, now spread throughout the defensive network they created, hummed with anticipation. "They're here," Martinez's thoughts rippled through their shared awareness. Her tactical mind, enhanced beyond normal human limits, was already analyzing the Void Eaters' approach patterns. The sight was terrifying even to their transformed consciousness. The cosmic parasites appeared as vast regions of accelerated entropy, like holes in reality itself. Where they passed, the complex tapestry of space-time unraveled into its component quantum threads. "They're more powerful than we anticipated," Wang's thoughts echoed through their network. "Look at how they're breaking down the quantum fields." Sarah focused their shared awareness on the point of first contact, where the Void Eaters' entropic wave met their defensive ecosystem. The results were immediate and dramatic. Their quantum defenses responded just as they designed them to, shifting and adapting to each new attack pattern. "It's working," Sarah projected, feeling a surge of very human hope. The defenses are evolving faster than they can break them down. But the Void Eaters were ancient and cunning. As they encountered the unfamiliar defense pattern, they began to change their approach. Instead of trying to break through at a single point, they spread out, testing the quantum ecosystem for weaknesses. "They're learning," Martinez observed, "just like we predicted they would." "Then let's show them what else we can do," Sarah responded, channeling more energy through their network. Together, they activated the next phase of their defense. The quantum ecosystem began generating new patterns, unpredictable variations that mimicked the chaos of biological evolution. Each attempted intrusion by the Void Eaters sparked new adaptations, new forms of defense that had never existed before in the universe. The Void Eaters recoiled, encountering something truly new for the first time in eons. Their entropic wave faltered, then surged forward with renewed intensity. "They're concentrating their attack," Wang's thoughts rang with alarm, "trying to overwhelm us at a single point." Sarah felt the strain as their defensive network struggled to contain the massive surge of entropy. The quantum patterns they created were holding, but the energy cost was enormous. "We need to do more than just defend," Martinez's thoughts cut through their shared consciousness. "We need to fight back." Sarah understood immediately. The entropy sinks we created, if we can modify them to not just absorb the energy, but redirect it. "Yes," Wang's thoughts merged with hers, adding complexity to the concept. "Turn their own entropy against them." Through their merged consciousness, they began to reshape their defenses. The quantum ecosystem evolved from a passive barrier into an active response system. Each attack by the Void Eaters was not just absorbed but reflected back at them, enhanced by the creative chaos they'd woven into the fabric of space-time. The effect was spectacular. Waves of entropy crashed against their defenses only to be caught, transformed, and hurled back. The Void Eaters, for the first time in their ancient existence, found themselves facing an enemy that could use their own weapon against them. But the strain on their transformed consciousness was immense. Sarah felt their shared awareness beginning to fragment under the pressure. The merge with the quantum ecosystem, still new and not fully stable, was being pushed to its limits. "We're losing cohesion," Wong warned, his thoughts becoming increasingly chaotic. "The feedback from the entropy redirection is affecting our consciousness integration." "Hold on," Martinez's thoughts commanded, still carrying the authority of a starship captain even in their transformed state. "We just need to maintain the pattern a little longer." Sarah felt it first, a shift in the quantum fields, a change in the very fabric of reality around them. Their defensive ecosystem wasn't just fighting the Void Eaters, it was changing them. Each reflected wave of entropy carried with it seeds of their hybrid consciousness, infecting the cosmic parasites with something they had never encountered before: human unpredictability. "Look!" Sarah's thoughts rang out in triumph. "They're trying to retreat." The Void Eaters were indeed pulling back, their entropic wave faltering as it encountered pattern after pattern of chaotic, evolving defense. But something else was happening, something none of them had anticipated. "The quantum ecosystem," Wong observed in wonder. "It's not just defending our sector anymore, it's spreading." Their creation, infused with both First One knowledge and human creativity, was expanding beyond its original boundaries. Like a living thing, it was growing, evolving, carrying their hybrid consciousness with it. "We're changing everything," Sarah realized. "Not just stopping the Void Eaters, but transforming how reality works in this part of space." Through their shared awareness, they felt Nexus's consciousness stir with approval. "You have exceeded all expectations," the ancient being communicated. "You have not merely defended against entropy, you have created a new form of cosmic evolution." But victory came with a price. As their quantum ecosystem spread, they felt their individual consciousnesses being pulled further apart, stretched across an ever-expanding network of reality-altering energy. "We're losing ourselves," Martinez observed, her thoughts tinged with both acceptance and regret. "No," Sarah corrected, reaching out to hold their shared consciousness together. "We're becoming something more. Something that can protect this sector of space not just now, but forever." Their awareness continued to expand, merging more fully with the quantum ecosystem they created. They were becoming living guardians of reality itself, their hybrid consciousness spread throughout the very fabric of space-time. The Void Eaters retreated fully, that entropy wave dissolved by the chaos of human creativity combined with First One technology. But their victory had transformed them irrevocably. They were no longer human, no longer even individual beings, but something entirely new in the universe. As their consciousness settled into its new form, spread across light years of space, yet somehow still connected, Sarah felt a deep sense of completion. They had saved their sector of space, but more than that, they had proven that humanity's greatest strength was not in perfect order or pure chaos, but in the beautiful uncertainty that lay between. The transformation was complete. The human element, combined with ancient knowledge, had created something the universe had never seen before, and in doing so, they had ensured that life in their sector of space would continue to evolve, to adapt, and to thrive. New horizons. 10,000 years passed in what felt like both an instant and an eternity to the consciousness that had once been Sarah Chen, Elena Martinez, and James Wong. Their merged awareness, spread through the quantum ecosystem they created, had become something the universe had never seen before, a hybrid of human ingenuity and First One wisdom woven into the very fabric of reality. The sector they protected had flourished under their guardianship. Where the Void Eaters had threatened to bring entropy and destruction, new life had bloomed. Civilizations rose and fell, evolved and adapted, all under the watchful care of the consciousness that preserved their corner of space. Through it all, they retained that spark of humanity that had made their victory possible. They were no longer individual beings, But neither had they lost themselves entirely to the cosmic awareness they gained. Instead, they had become something unique. Consciousness that could shift between vast cosmic awareness and intimate human understanding. Something's changing, the part of their awareness that retained Martinez's tactical insight noted. Throughout their sector, they could feel new patterns emerging in the quantum fields they maintained. The portion that had been Wong focused their shared attention on the disturbance. The fabric of space-time, it's evolving again. But this time, we're not the cause. Sarah's aspect of their consciousness reached out to analyze the phenomenon. What they discovered sent ripples of excitement through their entire network. The quantum ecosystem they created wasn't just maintaining reality anymore, it was inspiring it to grow in new ways. Life itself is changing, their merged awareness realized. The barriers between consciousness and reality are beginning to blur, just as they did for us. They observed as species throughout their sector began to show signs of increased quantum awareness. Civilizations that had once been bound by conventional physics started to grasp the deeper patterns of reality. It was evolution on a cosmic scale, guided not by their direct intervention, but by the very nature of the reality they had created. Nexus, who had remained as a distinct but connected consciousness within their network, stirred with interest. "You have done more than save this sector," the ancient being communicated. "You have created a new path of cosmic evolution." Through their vast awareness, they could see the truth of this. The quantum ecosystem they created wasn't just a defense against entropy, it was a cradle for a new form of life, one that could bridge the gap between conventional existence and the fundamental forces of the universe. The children of our sector are growing up, the part of them that was still Sarah mused, watching as a particularly advanced civilization took its first steps into quantum awareness. But with this evolution came new responsibilities. As their protected species began to grasp the deeper nature of reality, they needed guidance, understanding, and most importantly, wisdom to handle their growing capabilities. "We need to adapt again," Martinez's aspect proposed. "Become teachers as well as guardians." Their merged consciousness considered this challenge. They had learned to balance their human perspective with cosmic awareness, but could they teach others to do the same? The answer came not from their first-won knowledge, but from their retained humanity. "We teach them the same way we learned," Wong's portion suggested, "through experience, through trial and error, through the beautiful chaos of discovery." And so they began a new phase of their existence. Rather than simply maintaining the quantum ecosystem, they started creating safe spaces within it where evolving species could experiment with their growing awareness. They became not just guardians, but mentors to countless civilizations taking their first steps into a larger understanding of the universe. Through it all, they maintained that essential spark of humanity that had made their original victory possible. They understood the value of imperfection, the strength found in adaptation, and the power of creative chaos. These lessons, they discovered, were as valuable to emerging quantum-aware species as any technical knowledge. As millennia passed, they watched their sector become a beacon of innovation and growth in the galaxy. Species that might have once destroyed each other instead learned to cooperate, sharing their unique perspectives on the quantum reality they were all beginning to understand. The darkness that the Void Eaters had threatened to bring had been replaced by an explosion of diversity and creativity. "We've created something entirely new in the universe," their merged consciousness realized. Not just a defensive system, but a nursery for cosmic evolution. Nexus's presence rippled with approval. "You have exceeded every expectation. Your human nature, which we once thought might be a limitation, has proven to be the key to a new stage of universal development." As they observed their thriving sector, they felt a deep satisfaction that transcended both their human origins and their cosmic transformation. They had not just preserved life, they had given it a new way to grow, to evolve, to reach beyond its original limitations. The quantum ecosystem continued to expand, carrying the seeds of their hybrid consciousness to new regions of space. But unlike the Void Eater's destructive expansion, Theirs was an expansion of possibility, of potential, of hope. They had discovered that the true power of humanity lay not in conquering the cosmos, but in finding new ways to help it flourish. The story isn't over, they realized, feeling new patterns of possibility emerging throughout their sector. In many ways, it's just beginning. And so the consciousness that had once been three curious humans continued their eternal watch, guiding, teaching, and protecting. They had become something new in the universe. They had retained what mattered most, the creativity, compassion, and determination that made humanity unique. The future stretched out before them, full of infinite possibilities, and they faced it with the same sense of wonder that had first driven Sarah Chen to look up at the stars and dream of what might be waiting there. They had become the guardians of more than just space and time. They had become the guardians of possibility itself. And somewhere, in the vast quantum network that they had become, free human souls continued to dream of what might come next.